Have you ever felt like you were running on a giant treadmill, your legs churning tirelessly, sweat pouring down, breath coming in short gasps, only to look back and realize you haven't moved a single step forward from your starting point? It is a feeling of exhaustion that reaches the very depths of the soul. When the morning alarm is no longer a greeting to a new day but a whistle signaling a race you never signed up for. I was once there, exactly where you might be standing now, in a world that worships speed as a sole religion, where business is worn on the chest like a prestigious medal of honor. But let me tell you about the journey of finding myself again. A journey that went against the rushing tide of the times to find a peaceful harbor called the slow living lifestyle. Before I found this escape, my life was a blur of gray days. Modern society, with its gears of industrialization and digital technology, had whispered in my ear since childhood that faster meant better. We were taught to eat fast, move fast, multitask, and optimize every second. Efficiency became the only measure of human value, but what was the price of that efficiency? It was superficial experiences slipping through my fingers. I used to drain a cup of coffee without ever tasting its bitterness or sweetness because my eyes were glued to a phone screen. I used to nod along in conversations with loved ones while my mind wandered through lists of unfinished tasks. Stress became a constant companion, and my mental health gradually withered like a candle burning at both ends. I was successful by society's standards, but inside was a terrifying emptiness. It was in that moment of despair that I encountered the concept of slow living. Initially, I mistakenly thought that living slowly meant laziness, stagnation, or shirking responsibility. But no, the deeper I delved, the more I realized this was a powerful and mindful movement of resistance. Slow living is not about doing everything at a snail's pace, but about doing everything at the right pace. It is the art of prioritizing what truly matters, simplifying life to eliminate noisy distractions, and most importantly, fully enjoying the present moment. That was when I began a journey back through time to seek wisdom from great philosophers who saw through the nature of happiness thousands of years ago. The first teacher who came to me through old pages was Epicurus. In a modern world full of material temptations and endless desires, Epicurus's teachings were like a splash of cold water that woke me up. He did not advise us to give up joy. Rather, he taught us how to categorize it. He advocated for seeking tranquil pleasures and simple satisfaction. Previously, I always thought happiness lay in a new car, a luxury trip, or a major promotion. But Epicurus pointed out that constantly chasing those fleeting desires only brings anxiety, because as soon as we achieve them, we fear losing them or crave something even greater. Instead, I began to learn how to find joy in a simple meal with my family, in a dreamless night of good sleep, or in the sense of security that comes from being debt-free. These are sustainable joys, independent of the fluctuations of the outside world. As I began to declutter my mind, I turned to Henry David Thoreau, who left civilized society to live in the woods by Walden Pond. Thoreau became my greatest inspiration for living intentionally. He said he went to the woods because he wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life. His teachings reminded me that we are complicating our lives with artificial needs. I began to look back at my house full of belongings and my packed schedule. Thoreau emphasized a deep connection with nature to find the meaning of life. I realized I had been detached from Mother Earth for too long. I started spending time walking in the park, listening to the wind rustling through the leaves instead of the blaring of car horns. The simplification Thoreau advocated was not deprivation, but freedom. Freedom from the burden of material things so the soul has space to soar. But how does one maintain that serenity in a world that always demands struggle? That was when I turned to the East and encountered the thoughts of Lao Tzu. Taoist philosophy, with the concept of Wu Wei, completely changed how I viewed effort. Wu Wei is not doing nothing, but acting in harmony with nature, without forcing, without resisting the flow. Lao Tzu taught me a great lesson through the image of nature. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Flowers bloom in spring, leaves fall in autumn, water wears away stone, all happen according to their own rhythm without the need for rushing. I realized I had been trying to swim against the current for too long, trying to control everything in my personal and professional life. When I began to practice Wu Wei, I learned to let go of excessive control, trust the process, and allow things to unfold naturally. And strangely enough, when I became less stressed, work flowed more smoothly and the results were even better. However, modern life is still full of distractions. Arthur Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, warned me about this. He argued that the hustle of modern life is the enemy that prevents true happiness. According to Schopenhauer, human happiness is often disrupted by two enemies, pain and boredom. We throw ourselves into work to escape boredom, only to encounter the pain of stress. He prized intellectual pleasures that are slow in nature, such as reading, reflecting, and enjoying art. These activities require time and deep focus, things that a high-speed society is robbing us of. I began to replace hours of mindless social media scrolling with reading philosophy books, listening to classical music, and taking time for self-reflection. I realized that only when we slow down does wisdom have a chance to sprout and happiness have a chance to take deep root in the soul. Finally, to apply all these philosophies to the reality of daily work, I followed Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and a great Stoic philosopher. Despite being the head of a vast empire with 100,000 worries, Marcus Aurelius maintained his serenity thanks to the principle, do less, but better. He advised us to focus on the essentials and eliminate the superfluous. Whenever I faced a long to-do list, I asked myself Marcus Aurelius's question, is this truly necessary? In this way, I cut out countless meaningless meetings, superficial social relationships, and commitments that brought no value. The serenity he spoke of was not idleness, but a high level of focus on what truly matters, bringing a sense of accomplishment and peace. From the precious lessons of these ancestors, I built specific slow living practices for myself, turning philosophy into action. First was simplifying my schedule. I learned to say no to unsuitable invitations so I could say yes to myself. I left white spaces in my day periods of doing nothing at all, just to breathe and feel my own existence. Next was disconnecting from technology. I established phone-free zones in my house and digital curfews. The feeling of not being bound by message notifications was truly a liberation. I began to practice mindfulness in every daily activity. When washing dishes, I focused only on the sensation of the water and the scent of the soap. When eating, I focused on the flavor of the food. Mindfulness helped anchor my mind in the present, preventing it from wandering into the past or worrying about the future. And most importantly, I spent time immersing myself in nature as a mandatory healing ritual. Whether it was just a 15-minute walk under a row of trees or sitting quietly watching the sunset, connecting with the earth and sky helped me recharge and remember that I am a part of this vast universe, not a working machine. Nature taught me about patience, about the cycles of life and death, and about the beauty of silence. Now, looking back at my old self, I feel compassion for those hurried days. I no longer measure success by the amount of money in my bank account or my social status, but by the number of mornings I wake up with a peaceful smile and the number of nights I go to sleep with a light heart. The slow lifestyle does not promise to make you the richest person, but it promises to return to you the ownership of your own life. My dear friend, if you are feeling suffocated in this frantic whirlwind, remember that you have a choice. You have the right to step off that treadmill. Try slowing down, even if just a little. Try drinking a cup of tea and doing nothing. Try looking at a blooming flower. Try listening to your own heartbeat. As Lao Tzu said, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Your life is a journey to be experienced, not a race to the finish line. Go slowly to see how beautiful and brilliant this world is when we look at it with still eyes and a peaceful soul.